Hey fellow pioneers, Johnny5 Alive here, and welcome back to another Satisfactory video. Today I got something, a bit of a tutorial for you guys today, how to set up the truck system and how to get them to bring resources back and forth between your bases. Look like that one's skipping along. Oh, there we go. So we got one arriving right now. So the idea here is this is coal. This one's stuffed with coal. It is unloading, and then it's bringing that coal into a storage container, so there's an overflow, and it's merging with iron to make steel. And I have a steel production plant here. I'll show you guys. No, don't go away. No, don't delete node. Okay. I want to take control of this one while we have it here. We're going to clear path. Whoop. Do we clear the path? Disable autopilot. Why is it... Come on. Why? Did it delete the path or not? Okay. We're going to hope it did. It's seeming to want to honk. Okay. Some technical difficulties. So, we're just going to bring this guy over here and park it for a sec so I can explain a little bit more of the logistics here. Hopefully it doesn't start driving off on me, and that actually worked. Seems to be okay. So we have two running on this lap, and you can see the dots here. And this is the second one. But as you can tell, it's not even dropping anything off anymore because this thing is so overfilled. So how much it picks up and drops off is based off of how much you're loading in. And I have to show you that on the other end. Whoops. This thing does have a storage container and a workbench. If you're interested in crafting on the go, you can bring it with you. I don't want to... Oh, almost got hit by a car. That the pathing on this one, I came in a little hot, but it still unloads it, as you can see there. So don't worry if you made a mistake and came in too hot. You can actually just drive right by it and continue on. This thing is trying to correct its mistake and kind of back up into the spot that I told it to before it drives off. So there is some pretty smart AI in terms of like auto-correcting your mistakes. Anyways, this thing has a workbench, and you can see how much it can carry. And it has excess right now, and it can't even drop it off because that container is so full. The amount that it's picking up and dropping off is substantial. Like, if you have one or two driving back and forth, that's all you need. It is way more effective than like running long-ass conveyor belts for miles. Because if you think about how much goes from a smelter into something else, or if something processes ingots and turns it into something else, these containers fill up quite slowly, right? I mean, it depends on what you make. But if I was straight transporting straight from here, smelting at 30 per minute, and then smelting them at 30 per minute, it's only going to be able to put 30 per minute into a container. And even if that thing takes a couple minutes to get back and forth, it'll never fill up that container in time. So these things are extremely efficient, and it is a ton of fun. But there's a couple things to note here. You're going to need to fill them up. You're going to need to fuel them up, sorry. So to show you how it works a little bit better, I got to get on top of it. It has, well, even better is if we create a new one. Where am I? Vehicles. So you can see here there's two inputs and one output. The output is not necessary unless it's a receiving bay. The input is not necessary unless it's a shipping bay. But the gas is necessary for one of the two bays, not both of them. So, for example, this is a receiving bay, and it's picking up the goods that I need. I need coal, but there's no coal on the map for miles. So obviously that's why they're driving back and forth. And I need that coal at this base to merge with the iron to make those steel ingots, like I said earlier. So, because it's bringing it to the base is the best spot to create fuel. So, I have fuel hooked up here, and it creates its own fuel right here. The other base does not need fuel, and it's not offloading anything. The other base, all it has is a connector for this input, which is bringing in coal. I don't need to bring in anything here because this is a receiving only area. So this thing has nothing inside of it that it's picking up. It's unloading here, if that makes sense. But if the truck runs out of gas, it'll get more here. So I want to quickly show you guys how to make fuel quite quickly and quite efficiently. So what I've done here is I right out the fuel bay hook up a storage container. The storage container is good for overflow because this thing can only hold 200 fuel at a time, which means if you have a whole production bay creating fuel, it'll stop at 200. But if you have this overflow here, it'll make thousands of fuel. That way, whenever this is empty, it always has something to pull from the reserves. And also, if you need fuel for anything else that you're doing, you can come steal it from this container because you'll have such a big overflow. All right. So, how to efficiently make some fuel in a small, compact area. I can't even walk through here. It's so compact. 2 containers. One is going to be for, well, I can show you here. One is for wood, and one is for leaves. So pretty simple. I like to work backwards so you get it nice and close. So from the container, make a splitter, or sorry, a merger, and then that merger is going to go off into 2 constructors. One of these constructors is going to make biofuel, and then the other is also going to make biofuel. Then from here, you have one that makes biomass from wood, and the other that makes biomass from leaves. That's the process. It's pretty simple. So all you got to do if you need fuel, you go out with your chainsaw, cut up a bunch of trees. You'll have leaves and wood from it. You come over here, drop your leaves in one, drop your wood in the other, and it'll just push it through here, turn it into biomass, turn it into fuel, and all the fuel will come down here, and it'll push it into this container, and this container will fill up this. And you will never need to ever have fuel at the other station because they have enough gas to get from there and back. Unless it's like a very, very long run where they ran out of gas, but I highly doubt that'll ever happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little loop and show you guys what the other end looks like. So let's drive on down there. So it's quite a distance. So where we're going now is the coal plant, and I'll make a separate video for that, how to make an efficient power plant out of coal. And honestly, my whole journey, I want to show this off really quickly. I made a giant ramp. You can do the super steep ramp, but it struggles getting up it. So it's one massive slope here. And I kind of use the power lines as a dividing road. So I could follow on the right side with one and the right side with the other, as you can see there. But yeah, what I was going to say earlier is playing all the way through the game to where I'm at now. I basically just used the basic singular miners and did all the objectives by hand. There was no need to do any production. I never made a basic power generator. I basically just got all the way to the space elevator without really building a single factory. And it was quite quick, actually. It only took me a couple hours. I was just listening to a podcast and cranking out everything I needed. So once I got up to the coal power plant, actually I'm going to have to park this off to the side so the other one doesn't ram into it. So once I got all the way up to the coal power plant, that's when basically this is the first thing I created in the entire game. Other than concrete, of course. I had concrete going just so I could stockpile that. And then I was able to build ramps out of concrete. So concrete was the only thing I had going to stockpile. And then I came here and made my fuel generators. And it's all based on the coal. So yeah, I'll show off this a little bit more detailed later, but the important part is that part of my coal is being branched off into a shipping container. And these trucks, and then it's going into the truck bay, as you can see here. And whatever's sitting in there when a truck arrives, it'll pick it up and bring it over. And like I said, they don't need fuel because they're coming fully fueled up from the other base. And you can see this one working away. Isn't that quite brilliant? Drops off a package. You can see here, it's empty. It took the 2 little piles of coal, and it'll drive off in a sec. I mean, it's so amazing and mesmerizing to watch. Now, it does a little bit of off-roading on its way out, but look at that. Pretty amazing. Absolutely love it. So now you can see both bases, how to fuel them up. We need to show you how to make these things drive back and forth. So getting into this one, what we're going to do is we're going to get into position to where it loads up. There we go. So you're going to want to hold this C key down, and you'll get a whole menu here. And then you just start recording and go. Now, luckily, we have a little dotted line to follow because the pathing of the last one is still there. So once you have one set, you can basically follow the path with another one, and they'll be pretty much perfectly synchronized, which is quite amazing. But I really love this system. I was really surprised how it worked and how well it worked. And like, if it crashes or goes off course or anything weird happens, it's really good at auto-correcting itself. I have not had these get stuck yet or do anything funky. So they've been working perfectly for me this entire time. They haven't fallen off this ramp or done anything weird. And part of the reason I made such a long slope is because I was afraid of the steep ramp, as it's a real struggle to get up the steep ramp with this vehicle. So you want to slow down a little bit, like just let off the gas. Don't need to brake or anything, because you will have a hard time stopping in time. And you really don't need to actually stop. That's good enough, really. And this is going to be a much more efficient run than my first recording. So I'm kind of glad that I'm redoing it for the purpose of this video now, because it's yeah, it's not going to have to put the brakes on and turn around like you saw it doing earlier. So head down the big ramp. But I mean, it's going such a long distance, and what I've noticed is they tend to put the coal really far away on the map and like across canyons. So you need to build bridges and stuff. Like, I checked out all the coal deposits on my current map, and I believe they're all randomly generated. They were all really, really far away. Like as you can see here, on like floating islands or behind canyons or whatever. So you will need a lot of concrete to build a bridge across, and you'll have to be prepared to make ramps. Oh, we got this guy sitting there. Perfect timing. And we get here and finish recording. And now, if we hop out, it should do its job. You know what? Oh, shoot. Can I get on it from here? I can. All right. Is it gonna go? Come on. Did I do it right? Did I stop the recording? Uh-oh. Maybe you have to enable autopilot. I didn't think that was actually a thing. Ah, you do. No! Get back here! I tried stopping it. What? Off he goes. I wanted to jump on top of it and give it a ride. So you I probably would have fallen off there anyway. I wanted to show you guys it working, but we can actually wait for the next one to arrive. It shouldn't actually be too long. You can see at the top, there on the radar. It's on its way. It was hauling pretty fast there. So I believe it's just coming down the ramp. It should be coming over the bend any second. So what we're going to do here is we're going to climb up on top of our building so we can get over to it. So yeah, the power plant here, I'll show in a different video, probably the next video if you stay tuned for that. I'll probably post it the day after. Show the whole process here, but I run power lines all the way back to the base. There's really no point in transporting the coal to a power plant because you can see it's constantly back. Just in case you need to add more power plants and things go crazy, you don't want the cars constantly working. And the worry there is if the cars were to run out of fuel, you have to manually refuel by getting trees and put the fuel into the containers like I showed you, or the wood and the mulch, and it turns it into fuel. Eventually that will run out and you'll be forced to go collect more trees and refill it and regas everything. But the nice thing of my power plants being right next to my coal here is I'm not relying on vehicle transportation to keep my city powered. So my see that? Wow, I've actually never seen that. That was incredible. It did flips, but look, it auto-corrected itself. I think it flips back over automatically, but it got right back on course. So I know with that recording, I was coming down that hill a bit hot, and I was a little bit worried. And there you go. The AI couldn't steer it as good as I did, but... and the funny thing is there's actually a cliff right there. It could have technically rolled right off into the abyss. I was worried about that. But it seemed to do just fine. So we're sitting on top of it, and I am not driving. It's completely AI driven, or I guess a recording or simulation of my previous drive. Got the other one following right behind, so you can see the one that we pre-recorded is on it. It did a full loop already. So it's done its cycle, and it hasn't had any errors. So yeah, we're just chilling out on top of this thing, enjoying the view. You can see my space elevator there. Quite beautiful. I mean, once you get on this thing and it's hauling full speed, it doesn't seem like the biggest journey, and especially when you look at the space elevator as a landmark, it doesn't seem like it's that far. But trust me guys, when I did this walk, it's like a 5-minute walk. It's pretty brutal. So these tractors are definitely a must-have for collecting resources from around the map. I absolutely love it. And there we have it. We are back at the base. Now I think it's coming in hot. And I didn't do the best recording on this one. So yeah, it tried to simulate me putting the brakes on, and it's going to try to turn around and go back there. So I should probably re-record that one. But that other guy was right behind us. And because of this little bad recording, this one's going to slowly catch up, and they're going to be almost racing each other at some point. I should probably redo that one. Oh, this one still came in too hot. Nope. It's still got the package, so good. As I was saying, you don't really have to slow down too much. You could just kind of drive by it, and it did, in fact, get the package. But I do recommend slowing down even more coming in. Just come to a crawl and just drive by it really, really slowly, because you can see it still was coming in a bit hot. It seems like the AI doesn't know how to brake perfectly, and or slow itself down very well, because we did come in nicely and come back through here, but that one was still coming in a bit hot. So the AI is definitely not as good at putting the brakes on. But having those two back and forth, as you can see, it's basically a surplus of coal. I cannot get enough. So what I'll end up having is probably another... I'll probably even split this off with a splitter, and split this off and have another one of these guys. Double foundries. I can afford to produce twice as much iron than what's coming in from the two of these. So there's definitely ways to, you know, make this more efficient, but this was my first go at it, and it seems to be working perfectly. So absolutely love the tractor system in this game. Definitely recommend doing it for long distance mining. I also have a coal area over there, but with copper. I have a copper node over there, but up until this point in the game, which I'm pretty darn far, I actually don't need copper production. What I have over there, I believe, is just the regular, like that's my concrete, and it's just storing concrete like crazy. But with the concrete, I just grab it when I need it. I don't really, you know, I grab big batches of it. But look at this. This is my copper production. Just these three little guys. They've given me all I needed, essentially. I've come back here a few times to grab what I needed, and that was it. You just need some wire, and you create a lot out of it. But eventually what I'll probably do is have a small little plant back here that creates copper materials, copper-based materials, have a whole little base, and then have the vehicles bringing the materials back to storage containers. Now, it'd probably be the most efficient to have the constructors over here, and they bring the raw ingots over, because the vehicles aren't smart enough. Like, they could bring a whole bunch of different things over, like wires and bolts or whatever you end up making, coils. But you're just going to have a mishmash container of all these various things that the truck's bringing over, and you're going to have to manually sort that yourself, which is not the worst thing in the world. But if it's just bringing over ingots, you'll have a little bit more control over the containers that are sitting near your crafting bay, and I like having it all organized. So but I definitely will use a vehicle just to go back and forth, even though it's very short. One vehicle will be able to bring it back and forth, and that's much better than a mile-long conveyor belt, and it just looks a little bit cleaner and acts a little bit more fun. So there you guys go. That's my tractor guide in a nutshell, how I got it to work and how what mine is up to, and I really love the system. So that's pretty much going to do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, smash that like button and subscribe for more Satisfactory videos. I'll show you my coal plant in the next one, and then yeah, I'll definitely have more guides coming out in the future as I start getting the hang of things some more. Boom. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.